Hi, I'm James with James Spearman Aircraft, and today I wanted to talk a little bit about the Cirrus. We primarily focus on the Cirrus in my shop just because of our region, and I wanted to give you my thoughts on why I think it's so popular. Yeah. Yeah. Cirrus Aircraft started in the Midwest by two brothers in a barn, and that is a really cool story, that they were able to essentially start with kit planes that they sold at Oshkosh and other air shows and build that into the fastest growing and the best selling aircraft of the modern times. The 172 obviously was the best selling of all time, but as of right now, in modern times, Cirrus is outselling its competition at a rate of like 6 times its nearest competitor. The plane behind me, the SR22, its direct competitor would be like the Bonanza A36, or sorry, G36 Bonanza. And this plane is selling a few hundred a year, 400 or 500. And the Bonanza, if you go online and you look up Gamma to see what their deliveries, there's some years where they've only delivered 1 or maybe 10, 13, 15. It's insane what Cirrus is able to do, and a lot of what they do have a great product, but they focus more on their customer service and their sales process. Why I think the plane is so popular in general, the product itself, I do believe the SR22 is one of the best aircraft ever designed and brought to market. It's not necessarily head and shoulders above its direct competition, but the things that set it apart is that it has a parachute, number one. It was decades ahead of any other manufacturer, and currently, other than Icon Aircraft, there's no other certified manufacturer releasing aircraft with parachutes installed. There may be some to come, but that is a huge selling point. The other things, it's a nice, stable platform, and I'll break that down into 2 segments. They've always focused on great avionics. Even in the Aviation days, it was head and shoulders better than its direct competition, and then they eventually swapped over to Garmin. Now they have the Garmin G1000 NXI, and that system is awesome. And then they've upgraded again with the G7. The G7 Cirrus, its direct competitor, essentially is the DA50 RG, even though the DA50 has retractable gear and it's a little bit bigger. That's its direct competitor, I would say. SR22T, I suppose, to be a little bit more accurate. But G3000 touchscreen, beautiful display versus the DA50 RG, which is essentially an old school G1000. Without a customized panel, the G6 G1000 is definitely better than the new DA50 RG panel, even though they're both a G1000. And now the G7 Cirrus is light years ahead of that. It is gorgeous. The next thing as a stable platform is its design. The aircraft, I think, flies its balance fine. There's all of this rumor mill out there that the only reason they put the parachute in is because it won't recover from a stall. I don't believe that. I'm not going to go into why I know that. But let's just say it's a stable platform. Once you get used to the yoke off to the side or the stick, it is very easy to fly, and it is easy to learn from someone who is taking a step from their private pilot's license straight into their instrument. It's a nice, stable IFR platform with great avionics. That being said, it still has a 310 horsepower engine on it, and this plane can get you in some trouble in a hurry if you're not ahead of the plane. Unlike what would happen in a 172, things are a little bit slower and easier to operate, I think. If you're just talking about a rote 172 and you're a private pilot or a student only, this is a very big step up. The next thing that Cirrus really does well is their interior and their paint. there's no comparison, essentially, in the GA world. There's no paint schemes like Cirrus has. Diamond is starting to catch up, and other manufacturers are as well. But the paint schemes on this aircraft are much better and more complex and more customizable. And the reason for that is it's a fiberglass aircraft, and for the longest time, the paint having color increases the temperature over the fiberglass, and theoretically you could overtemp the fiberglass and cause damage. So all of the fiberglass planes, all of the early Cirruses and all of the Diamonds essentially are white, and that's what the color that you can paint a fiberglass or carbon fiber aircraft. Cirrus worked together with Sherwin-Williams to come up with different blends of paint that wouldn't heat it up and overstress the composite structure, and they were light years ahead of the rest of the competitors. But they're doing that so they could sell more airplanes, because people like nice paint jobs on a plane they're spending $1.2 million on. A little bit of gee whiz fact about the paint is that the wings are normally a lighter shade of paint than the cabin. And the reason for that is you can go with a much darker shade of paint because of the surface area of the cabin as you can the wings that are just flat laying out. So you'll normally see light gray or silver or light blue, lighter colors on the wings, and then like the one behind me, maroon, black, any of those darker shades of paint. So a little bit of gee whiz there. I would say the next thing is their interior. Again, they were ahead of the curve with their interiors, making this about you, the customer. What interior makes you feel good? If you've gone through their delivery or their order process, they'll bring you in, they sit you down, and they talk about all of the different ways that they can customize this plane and make it about you. And that is still, to this day, I think, light years ahead of any of their competitors. Some of the downsides with the aircraft, where I think they're a little bit behind compared to their direct competitor, which is Diamond, is that this thing still has 1950s tractor technology in it. It is a IO 550 engine that's been around for decades. It has been slightly improved by Cirrus to install in this aircraft, but ultimately it has a mechanical fuel injection system. People think they hear, oh, it's fuel injected. No, it technically is, but not in the form of what you're used to in your car, where a computer is sending out pulses of fuel to each cylinder to fire when it's supposed to at its exact moment. This is a continuous flow fuel injection system, as in the injector is a brass orifice, and this thing is just pumping fuel 100% of the time. It never stops. So it's very inefficient compared to what's in your car. The magnetos are still on this plane being delivered brand new, which is just mind-boggling, because there's better technology out there today where a computer can actually control and send the ignition, the spark, exactly when it's supposed to be there, and it can advance the timing to give you increased performance as you climb through the flight altitudes. Again, firewall forward, you as the consumer are left with lots of issues that an engine like this has. They're low quantity manufacturing, and the parts are cast aluminum. And unlike your car, who they are designing and putting through thousands of parts probably every minute, they're only delivering, let's say, 1,000 total in an entire year. And since they have such low quantity that they're developing, they're not able to continuously improve like the automotive industry, which leaves you with a lot more breakdowns, usually not typically in flight, but a lot more instances where a magneto leaves you AOG. When I say AOG, that means aircraft on ground. For example, you're on your vacation and you can't take off because you can't pass a Mac check. That is AOG. And then you need to go ASAP. So these were just a few fun facts and my opinions on the Cirrus, of why I think it's popular and where it's lacking. Obviously, all of the planes are great. I love to fly. I'm CFI, AMPIA, and anything to me is a lot of fun. I think it's a great platform for a family that's flying you yourself and your kids out to Charleston, or if you're a business owner and you have multiple locations in the same region, you could go visit all of them and still be at the same spot. Great, safe platform. Really can't go wrong with it, and I think it's here to stay. So I'm James Spearman. Thank you.